Now, all of you said at half-time, Brighton have to score next. They have to start the second half strongly. I mean, what a perfect start. 3 minutes in.
Yeah, a really good start. As we said, they needed to score the first goal to give themselves a chance, and they did that. I think it was a big mistake for Udogie. I think they'll be disappointed. His manager will be disappointed with him because this is where it all starts. Once you concede a stupid mistake, like a silly mistake, he needs to get rid of that. And you do become nervous, even if you've still got a lead. That brings a little bit of tension to the players, a little bit of tension to the legs. I thought Matoma all day was very good. Great ball out that time with his left foot, one in the first half outside of his right foot. But he just whips it into a really dangerous area. And it is slightly awkward for Udogie, but you'd expect him to clear that, and he doesn't. And it gives Brighton a chance, and you see him go grabbing for the ball there. They're not celebrating. And that's when the next 15 minutes is a little bit chaotic for Tottenham. And like I said before, I thought Tottenham were really poor second half. They were dead, but you've got to give Brighton real credit for coming back from a 2-goal lead.
Did that place immediate seed of doubt in Tottenham's mind from that moment on?
Absolutely. He lifts the crowd, doesn't it? It's an incredible turnaround of confidence as well for them. And Tottenham didn't stand up to it. You know, they didn't get on the ball. I never saw Maddison in the second half. I never saw Solanke, Brennan Johnson, never saw him. You know, that's when you need your big players to take control of the game and try and get some passes in. Passes like medicine when you're up against it. You know, you may feel better the more you make. You know, but at the moment, as soon as they scored, it's like dropping the soap in the bath. You know how hard it is to find, and it keeps getting away from you. And that's exactly what happened to him in the second half. You know, before you know it, you've conceded 3 goals, and the game's got away from you, and then you're chasing it. And they just picked them off, Brighton. So credit to them. But really, I'm interested to see what Ange makes of that, because he would have not said to the boys, but he would have felt at half-time in complete control of that football match.
Eyebrows were raised when they paid what they did for Rutter for Leeds, but he's now got 2 in 2, and he scored the second and obviously created the third. He had some second half as well today.
Yeah, he did. He's starting to find his feet in a Brighton shirt, in the Premier League as well. He's a funny one. You can't really put him in a box, Rutter. He reminds me a little bit of Havertz. He's not quite a 9, not quite a 10, but he's a big physical presence that is just an issue. He always causes a problem, and this is a brilliant finish when it comes round. You can see him there heading towards the box, and I just like the way he gets this back out of his feet and finish back across. I think it's a really good goal, like I say, in a Brighton shirt, really starting to find his feet. I mean, there was questions asked and eyebrows raised when you paid 40 million for a lad that had only scored 6 in the Championship last year. But apparently, on the data sheet that Brighton used for recruitment, his numbers were off the chart in the final third, like final third entries, forward passes, things like that. So that's why the club felt so strongly to go and pay that amount of money for him.
Interesting. And when you look at Brighton's recruitment record, it's very difficult to argue with any data sheet.
Don't get it wrong. No, don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong with managers either, as well as players. So, yeah, give him the credit for that, albeit in the Championship at Leeds with the numbers. But, you know, if he can continue like that, he gets some confidence from scoring in the Premier League. You can't pigeonhole him. You know, I don't know what he is. But certainly a good technical player, and he finished that one brilliantly. He is very similar to Kai Havertz. You know, he's not a 9, not a 10, bit of both. So if they can fit him in, I think surely the manager looks like he's a cute manager. You know, second half performance was outstanding, but I'm not sure if it was because Brighton was so much better or that Tottenham were just so bad and just turned up in the second half and expected it. See the passage of play before that build-up, there's no pressure on the ball, whereas in the first half they absolutely suffocated the Brighton players. Every time they had the ball, they had someone on them. If it wasn't 1, it was 2. When the ball arrived at someone else's feet, someone was arriving. In the second half, they were just passive.
Is that complacency, do you think?
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be down to that. You're always going to get fingered with that, you know, because in the 2-0 up and cruising, and I said it at half-time, they continue to play the same way they're doing, they will score 5 or 6 or 4 or 5. Didn't materialise like that. They conceded the goal and then they just melted.
Well, Rutter was a problem to Spurs in that second half. He scores that one. What about his role in creating the goal for Danny Welbeck to win it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It's brilliant tackle more than anything. Again, Udogie's a little bit weak in his defensive play, I think. I think Benton Kerr also tries to actually see the ball out. I think he thinks it's going out. Great retrieving tackle from Rutter. OK, you have to say it's a little bit lucky that it falls to Danny Welbeck. But watch Romero. Absolute sleeping. He actually thinks that Benton knows it in control, but you can't do that. You've got to anticipate that you're forward. the man you're marking, it might come to you have to stay with him, but he's just absolutely ball watching. Danny steps in front of him, uses all his experience and finishes it well.
If you can find a way to make Ndogi and Pedro Porro defend, then you're doing something right on the pitch. And if you can get them 1v1 in them areas where they have to defend, they will find. They haven't got it. What they're very good at is going forward. They've got a lot of energy, a lot of power going forward, good in the final third. They create chances. They know when to thicken up the midfield. As soon as you push them back and you ask them in wide areas to defend, that's when they're found wanting.
And in terms of, like Paul says, a doggy there was confused, but Ruter's attitude and just desire to create that.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all it takes. You can see his will to win. He wanted to win that ball more than Bentancur closing it down. And sometimes they're the rewards you get for just trying. Do you know what I mean? And that is sometimes as simple as football is. If you just make that effort and put yourself in that position to make things happen like that, you get your just rewards. Did we see quite what momentum can do in a half of football there from the moment Brighton scored?
Yeah, well, look, when you can see that first goal, it's always going to be dangerous. I think Postecoglou will be really disappointed with that second half because he's a manager who always wants you to keep going. Either you score one, you score two, you go out and get that third goal. But as Tim said, they were really flat second half. They really sat back, didn't play in the usual attacking fashion what you'd expect them to, which is go on, get your third, get your fourth, and they win that game quite comfortably. They sat back, concede one with a big mistake, and from then on you're struggling.
Them inconsistencies is what's going to cost them over the period of the season. Because against Man United, it was a big game. You play at Old Trafford, it's still the big game for every team. They go there and they, from start to finish, they was on the front foot. Yes, Man United wasn't as good as Brighton was today and didn't put them under the pressure. But yeah, like I say, at half-time, he had all the answers. You know, everything was going his way, and now he's going to have to answer the questions. It was a huge game of football last week. You know, it could have gone either way for Ten Hag if they would have beat Tottenham.
So 2-0 Tottenham at half-time, and your former club in good value for that.
Yes, in total control. I was really interested to see how Herzl would go about trying to stop him. You know, he obviously knows Tottenham want to play a high line, a very aggressive press. And I felt like he would drop his centre-backs, Duncan, Webster a little bit in the back four, but he hasn't done that. He's just stuck to his principle and they're getting paid the price. Tottenham are getting in time and time again. Too much quality, too aggressive in the press, and Brighton have no answer to it.
We saw Brighton last week at Chelsea lose possession and lose goals, and they actually had the ball for the first goal, didn't they, in possession again?
Yeah, exactly the same. I think he'd be disappointed with this, but Tottenham on the other hand do it really well. They're probably the best team in the league at pressing high up, and they win it again. And really good ball from Slag. I thought Solanke was excellent in that first half as a centre forward. It's all about the timing really, but you see Brighton again, but Tottenham's so against. I think that's Van der Veen up against it, wins it into Maddison, into Solanke. That's the most important thing. Once you win it, you look forward, bang into the centre forward. Great timing then from the pass and the run for Brennan Johnson. You fancy him, as I said before the game, real purple patch, and his confidence is high, and he slots it lovely in the bottom corner.
And I've seen Aaron stand on the touchline there. When they win the ball back, he screams at them. If they pass the ball backwards or sideways, he's up there screaming. He doesn't want to see that. He finds that very boring. He wants them to try and find a forward pass, and Maddison out just manipulates the ball outside his right foot into it. Straight away you eliminate 2 or 3 players from the opposition.
Brennan Johnson has scored in 6 games in a row, and the last Tottenham player to do that 5 years ago was Harry Kane. Then Brighton had one golden chance, which has looked to be proved pitiful, for Danny Welbeck. I mean, any excuse here from a centre-forward's point of view?
It's a difficult finish, I will give him that. But for a man of Danny's calibre, when he watches this back, I think that's what it's based on. He'll be disappointed. It's a wonderful ball from Mitoma, and he just tries to let it run across him, and just all about time, and you've got to try and plant that instep on it at the exact moment and get the right. Well, he does get contact on it. He just doesn't quite generate enough power on it, does he? But I mean, that is a game-changing moment there, because minutes after, Spurs go up and get a second, and that makes the game really difficult from a Brighton point of view.
Yeah, that could have been 1-1. 5 minutes, 20 seconds later, it was 2-0. Defence to attack from Tottenham.
Yeah, that's what they do very, very quickly. You know, and the ball there comes off there. Solanke, brilliant play, and Timo Werner just slides him in there. And you watch the timing of this pass from Werner. Brilliant. Waits till the midfield player comes across, gives it to Maddison. Verbruggen has to do better. It's not good enough. But Dunk has to come off there. He has to arrive at the same time as that ball arrives. He's not getting threatened in behind by any player, so he has to come in there. He has to stop it at source. He doesn't do that, and he pays the price. If you look at Dunk now, he doesn't affect it at all from now on in. And Maddison just hangs out off of the pace, and it's not a decent... I mean, he can do what he can do, but the goalkeeper has to do better there.
When you're only playing one man up front, as in a singular nine, I know you've got wingers either side of you, but when you're playing a singular nine, both times they've let Solanke get turned, and I think that's criminal. You've got to go tight, and then that stops that at source. When he gets on the half turn, and you've got the willing runners like your Werners and your Brennan Johnsons either side of him, it's a recipe for disaster, and we've seen that happen.
And Brighton have some work to do here. As Tim says, they haven't changed at all, despite the run of 1 point from 4 games.
No, I still think they're actually in the game. I think Matoma is quite dangerous. A great ball from the outside of his foot into Welbeck, and he should score. But one thing's for certain, they need the next goal. If Tottenham get the third goal, then I think it could be a little bit messy for Brighton.
Yeah, because they have troubled Tottenham, haven't they? We saw Danny Welbeck had a header late on there as well.
Well, I mean, I feel as though for the first 15 minutes, Brighton couldn't find a foothold in the game. It was all Spurs. And then when Spurs scored, Brighton started playing, and then from that point on, create a good opportunity. Towards the end again, they create another opportunity. So I think next goal is crucial. If Brighton can get it, they'll be in it, and I think Spurs might wobble. If they get a third, that's game over.
OK, so that is Fabian Hetzler's challenge. The youngest manager.
When it rains for Brighton, it pours. Conceded 4 in the first half at Stamford Bridge, another 2 to Spurs here, and there had been warnings before Spurs got themselves in front, Les. First of all, they're scoring in different ways, winning the ball up high.
Yep, and this is what they've tried to do this season, just winning the ball high. This is great centre-forward play from Solanke. He just turns, slides Brennan Johnson in, and that's a player with confidence at the moment. He's got 5 in 5, just steps onto it. I think last year he would have probably slashed at this. But just
maybe even earlier this season he might have done. Any question of a foul?
No.
Steve, you're welcome to argue the point as our Brighton representative, but 5 in 5 becomes 6 in 6 for Brennan Johnson, and his extraordinary scoring run continues. But scoring in different ways, as I said, Dimitar. This one from a goal kick.
This is a perfect team goal. Started from the goalkeeper, composure on the ball, with self-belief that they can get out of the press. A great, again, turn here from Solanke, going forward. The pass, timing of the pass, slicing the defender. Of course, Timo Werner here with a great pass to Maddison. Goalkeeper mistake, for sure. But you cannot take away anything from that build-up to the finish. It's unbelievable.
I think what's really been impressive with Spurs' first half is as soon as they get in positions in that final third, they've just got runners. They get on the half turn and they've got runners, and then it's all about the detail, the composure. Can they find the pass? Obviously, there Verbruggen's going to be disappointed, but Spurs have blown Brighton away.
Not only that, the risky chance they take in Spurs, the passes forward, the turning, getting the ball under pressure, the passes under pressure in the right moment, in the right time. It's great for Spurs today.
Well, you could argue for Brighton mistakes at both ends, because Verbruggen's is really costly because it concedes a goal. But had they been more clinical, Brighton might have a foothold in this game.
Yeah, they've had their chances. Believer that we highlighted before the game, he's been probably the driving force for Brighton. They need to get Matoma involved in the game more. This is probably one of the first times that he's got in that final third. Then it's about the quality.
It's a bit of Berbatov, that.
It's a Berbatov pass. I've seen that many a time.
Look at that beauty. This is a goal.
I wouldn't say it's a Berber finish, but Welb's just got to at least hit the target there. Kadioglu, a great ball in. A very Sir Les-esque finish. I mean, probably disrespect because Sir Les would have put it in the back of the net, but if that goes in, it's a fantastic.
Yeah, it was just a little bit behind him, so he's had to pull his head back and try and generate the power. So it was really unlucky. But the first effort, he's just got to score to bring Brighton back into the game.
Sir Les might have had 2. It's easy from here, though, isn't it?
It's so easy from here.
It's looking easy right now.